Alright, what's going on everybody? Anime Rambo back with another episode. Today we will be discussing Kaiju number 8, chapters 101. We are fully caught back up. We are all good. We are good in the hood. Next chapter comes out in about 3 days, 2 days, depending about when I get this video out. It's Monday currently. I hope I can get it out today. That's the plan. So I'm going to work on it right after this. The chapter is fresh in my memory, but let's talk about it. If you remember where the last chapter left off, Reno and the entire rookie squad pulled up, right? So you have Reno who pulled up on Kafka. You flash over to the Kasumigaseki ward with Kikoru. You have Haruchi and Kaguragi pop up to give assistance to her. And you know Izumo, his family makes numbered weapons, right? His family is like the largest weapons distributor manufacturer in all of Japan. So you know he's pulling up with the latest and brightest of weapons. They probably were directly responsible for giving Reno a weapon that he could use in order to be compatible with his power. So everybody's pulling up on everybody. You have Iharu there, who I was most excited to see because he managed to save Minasa with such speed and agility that, I mean, if you look at the panel, she was clearly in the line of sight, in the kill zone of one of these Daikaijus, and Iharu just swoops in like a radiant angel, saves her, was like, yo, close your mouth or you bite your tongue, and she didn't even know who it was that actually was the one who had saved her. If you remember about Iharu, his power was interesting because he had a high fortitude level, but he only had a high fortitude level when I think he was just taking stuff seriously. So those situations would pop up, and I remember the 4th Division commander taking a real Lord, I was reading One Piece. The 4th Division captain took a liking to him because he had said he was just like him. So he had, I'd imagine, some one-on-one training with the 4th Division captain in that regard to help better control his power. And the rest of chapter 100 was Reno and Kafka going back and forth about how Reno really wanted Kafka to allow him to handle the situation. Right, Kafka, for whatever reason, he struggles with what a lot of people, I think, in the real world struggle with, and that's allowing people to help them when they need help. Kafka clearly in this situation does not need to be there dealing with these Daikaiju. He needs to be by Mina's side. He needs to be helping her because she has been taken by Kaiju number 9. So they have that back and forth, and Kafka has to come to the realization. He remembers the conversation that he had with Kikoru where she tells him, look, Reno and everybody else are soldiers too. They can handle themselves, and you need to believe that not just Kikoru, but also Reno and also Iharu and all of the other rookies have the capability of defending themselves and the people around them. So after he has that memory come back to him, he slaps his face and he was like, all right, look, Reno, you got it here. I believe in you, partner. Let's get down to it. And you have them line up next to each other in a similar way that I would imagine that Mina and Hoshina line up, right? Hoshina is the person who carves the path for Mina, right? Gets the core exposed so that Mina can take the final shot to end everything and just be done with it, right? They're a very good duo, and I like the comparison that you have with, you know, if you have Hoshina line up with Mina, then you have Reno line up with Kafka type of dynamic that they're showing. And that's chapter 100. So now that everybody's on the same page, chapter 101, Reno and Kafka start to engage the Daikaiju in the Ozumi ward. Alright, Reno's whole mission right now is to make sure that none of the Daikaiju are able to get to Kafka. Kafka's only plan right now is to run, and as Reno freezes the Daikaiju, Kafka is there to shatter the Daikaiju. I like how that is going on, and it really does show a lot of faith because Kafka was not privy to any of the training that Reno, Iharu, or any of the rookies underwent over this month. I want to say it might have been a little longer than a month. I'm not sure the exact timeline, but it's been longer than a month that he hasn't seen these individuals because he was doing his own training with Hoshina. So nobody knows anybody's true power level. This is the first time that they're able to see it. So Kafka is just fully trusting that Reno has full mastery of the King of Kaiju's power, Daikaiju number 6. Speaking of which, we got a real good showcasing, so did Kafka, of the actual power that KN6 truly had at its disposal. So you have the King of Kaiju, first and foremost. The first thing that you see, or the first thing that I saw when I was looking at Reno, is that he's just abandoned the use of the rifle. I remember when they were training with the 4th Division captain, they had to take on a slew of Kaiju themselves, just them, and he wasn't struggling with the rifle. He was incorporating the power of KN6 very well. But in this, when we see him post-training after the whole training montage that they went through, Reno's just given up the rifle. Instead, he has these 16 floating weapons, right? At first I thought they were made of ice. I thought he just made ice type of sigils and was using that to fire different ice ranged attacks, but no, you look closer, these are actually manufactured weapons that are able to incorporate his ice abilities to the fullest. I don't know if he has full mastery over KN6, but with these 16 icicles that he has, he is able to freeze anything that they touch on contact. Not just that, if he combines them, he's able to, the best way I can describe it is an ice beam type of attack, alright? He's able to create an ice beam if he combines them, and then if he combines them even more, I'm imagining all 16, he's able to generate this shield. Now, I'm under the impression that the weapons that he are using are manufactured to resemble icicles, but that's clearly man-made. The shield, though, I truly believe is made out of ice. He generates a shield, a thick enough shield to block whatever incoming attack happens, because if not, and the defense force gave Reno the ability to generate shields, and it's not something that's just made from the ice of KN6, well then I'd have to believe that they intentionally don't put shield generating capabilities on all the other defense force members' weapons. How many times over the course of this war arc and the previous war arc have we seen defense force members get absolutely hammered because they don't have a shield and they can't dodge? But I'm to believe that the defense force just gave Reno a shield? No. I think this is something that he makes with the power of KN6. I'm not under the impression that Reno has trained long enough with that particular weapon to be able to create his own moves, much like we've seen Narumi do, right? I don't think he's trained long enough with it, so I think this is a real good showcasing of the power that Kaiju number 6 had when it was an actual kaiju and not turned into a weapon. I can see how this particular kaiju got the moniker of King of Kaiju, because you gotta think, if he's able to freeze everything in his vicinity, if just the presence of Kaiju number 6 is able to summon snow, he's able to launch ice beams, he's able to generate ice shields, it makes sense why they had so much of a problem trying to deal with this thing, and why Hikari lost its life, and why Hikari lost her life that day. But Reno, it is going to be interesting to see when he gets to the mastery level of this weapon to the same degree that Narumi has the mastery of numbered weapon 1 with Kaiju number 1 in there, right? Because you got to remember, Narumi took such an astronomical leap of power. It's kind of insane. He went from just reading the electrical impulses in the body to being able to see the legitimate future. All right, that is as big a jump as you could possibly get in power. So I'm not off key by thinking that, all right, well, Reno has the ability to freeze not just individuals, anything that his ice comes in contact with, right? He's able to freeze individuals, he's able to freeze large amounts of areas, he's able to generate ice beams and ice shields. It's not far-fetched to think that at some point in time he'll be able to freeze time. Maybe not on a large scale, but freeze time in a general specific area. I know that's a lot of headcanon, but is it really? With Narumi going from reading impulses in bodies to seeing visions of the future. So because Kafka is seeing all of this unfold, he is gaining more and more trust for Reno throughout the entirety of his sprint to go and save Mina. I think Reno, I should have went back and counted, but Reno took out like maybe 4 or 5 Kaiju, something like that, and Kafka like never turned around once. And Reno said like the greatest honor or the greatest something, right, was Kafka not looking back, not turning around, believing that he has this under his control, which, you know, he did, right? These Kaiju aren't touching him at all. Everybody's just hanging back while Reno does his thing for the most part. And it's just like a beautifully well written chapter, right? Because even with all that physical development that went on, right, pretty much everybody in the rookie class can handle Kaiju level threat, at least to this degree. I'd imagine these are non-sentient Kaijus. I don't know how they would fare against sentient Kaijus, like, you know, the ones that we just previously saw that Kafka, Narumi, Kikoru, and all of them were taking on. I'd like to see how they fare against them. Reno, he would be fine, clearly, right? But it was interesting to see the physical development of all of these characters. But then on the backstory side of things with Reno, we got a lot more to see from him, right? We know that it was him, his father, his mother, and I believe it was a sister that he had. when they were living in the town, and we knew this part, that his town was destroyed and he was the sole survivor, but we never really knew anything else about that. Reno goes on to have all of these thoughts while he's fighting all these Daikaiju, that nobody was ever a hero to him. Nobody ever came to save the day. The city was completely destroyed. Even if we put aside that he lost his family minus his grandmother, the entire city was destroyed. Where was the defense force? You know what I mean? Like, that was my question. I'm like, dang, the whole city? The whole city was lost? Like, is the defense force something new? Because, I mean, did y'all have nobody that could take on any kaiju? Like, did y'all need a draft? I didn't understand what was happening. The whole city was lost. Both his and Mina's and Kafka's. They lost their city. So Reno, he's like, nobody saved the city, nobody saved my parents, nobody came to check on us, right? You have the flashback where he's just watching his grandmother cry every single night. Like, there was no hero. The only person that ever gave a damn to save him was Kafka. And from that day, the only thing that Reno really wanted was to be on equal footing with Kafka and have his back the same way that Kafka has always had his back. So I think that was beautiful, right? I do. Let me address something, because I always like bringing up old stuff. Do I still think that Reno is who he says he is? That's hard to say. Reno is starting to get a soft spot in my heart. I never disliked the man, but he's fishy. He's really fishy. He's awkward. He's standoffish. I understand, because, like, you know, he lost all of his family. You know, he's raised by his grandmother. We don't know if his grandmother is still alive. It was a hard life for the man. So, you know, he's a little standoffish. He is probably the most well-rounded character in the aspect of when they were doing the whole physical examination of all of the rookies. I think he boasted the highest, or the most even scores out of anybody. He definitely had one of the highest ceilings to explore, and that's what led to the compatibility for him in Daikaiju number 6. None of the other rookies, hell, none of the other Defense Force members, seniors, veterans, sophomores, juniors, doesn't matter. None of them had a compatibility with Daikaiju number 6 in the same capacity that Reno did. Is that just because he had a ironclad resolution of what it is that he wanted to do as a Defense Force member? Maybe, but you could apply that to a lot of the senior members. Why didn't any of the senior members who've been there for 5, 10, 15 years ever train and get to a level to where they could be compatible with number 6? You gotta imagine they probably would have tested everybody. They would have tested the 1st Division Captain, Narumi, 2nd Division Captain, 3rd Division Captain, Mina, Hoshina, the Vice Captain, the 4th Division. All the Division Captains, I'd imagine, would have been tested for all of the numbered weapons that they had available at the Defense Force. Why not? But only Reno, only the rookie, right? Only him. It's interesting. The same way that there's this massive question mark over Kafka, over Mina, the same question mark is cast over Reno as well. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting development. I don't know. Right? Everything that went down with Mina. Okay, what's special about, you know, saying you got the Kaiju number 8, looking at Kafka, you know, saying I found you. What's special about Kafka? Mina and Kafka are from the exact same town. They grew up together. All right, now you have everything developing with Mina, how Kaiju number 9 was like, okay, good, I found you. I need you. What the hell's special about Mina? And then you have Reno, who was favored by Daikaiju number 6, numbered weapon 6, the king of Kaiju that has bonded with nobody since its original capture or defeat. It's been years. It's been like a decade plus. What is special about these 3 individual characters? But we will find out in upcoming chapters. I think I've rambled on long enough. If you made it to the end, thank you. If you are new, go plus ultra and smash that subscribe button. Let me know you rock with the content that I put out on the channel. Like the video if you like the video, dislike the video if you dislike the video. Comment on the video your thoughts about what's going on with this trio. Why are they favored by kaijus so heavily? What actually destroyed the cities? We say it was a kaiju attack, and I'm sure it was. I'm sure a kaiju was responsible for these catastrophes that befell these cities. However, why were no defense members sent there? We saw how fast the Defense Force responded to this whole issue that we got going on in this city and all over Japan now, but it wasn't that long ago that these catastrophes were occurring, and it doesn't seem as if it was Daikaijus that destroyed the city. It just says that there were kaijus there and they destroyed just flattened it, just leveled. Look at these cities, like nobody came to help them. So it's just interesting. Is it a true Daikaiju occurrence or a kaiju attack that destroyed these cities, or is this like one of those types of manga that's going to play on military experimentation, right? A catastrophe that happened from the military that's a cover-up because they don't want to getting out that, oh yeah, the kaijus were actually in some super secret bunker that the military had, and they got loose and went on a rampage, right? But y'all let me know down in the comment section. I will keep the content coming frequent as infrequent and more frequently as humanly possible, and I'm out.